And then we're just gonna start something, right?
Excellent.
Okay. Hey guys, Dennis here. And today I have a very special guest. It's Naomi Brockwell. Naomi, welcome to the Bitcoin-Informant Show. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I am doing great. It's Bitcoin Pizza Day today, so I'm gearing up to have some pizza later.
That's good. That's good. You're gonna pay with Bitcoin for that?
Absolutely. Well, actually, no. I'm probably going to pay with Dash or Bitcoin Cash because Bitcoin is way too expensive. Have you seen the fees at the moment?
It's crazy.
No. I'm not spending Bitcoin right now.
And you have some very nice earrings, right? Oh, very, very nice, very nice.
For
Naomi,
the occasion.
You're one of the I'd say international influencers when it comes to crypto. I mean, you've been moderating all kinds of crypto-related conferences. I mean, you're an actress as well, right? You're a producer. I mean, what haven't you done? Maybe we start there.
I haven't stuck to one thing, that's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I would say that I'm just primarily a TV producer right now, producer for Stossel, and who's people in Germany probably don't know who he is, but he's very well known in America. And then I have my own show focused on privacy, blockchain, and tech in general. And I just really I love the investigative side of it. I love learning about things. I love always learning about like new tech, staying on the cutting edge of that. And then I love decentralization. So anything that is breaking apart power structures and giving individuals more power, I love the idea of, just because I see so much abuse of the centralization of power. You know, there are some great products out there, honestly, great products that are very centralized, but it just seems to be the case that over and over again, they will use their power for bad things. Right now, YouTube, great platform, honestly, great platform. It really took a lot of the power away from mainstream media outlets. In its early days, it allowed anyone to get an audience of millions of people. That was like the height of YouTube. But again, today you see them just giving more and more focus to mainstream media outlets. They have these hidden algorithms, hidden rating systems that hide some channels and then highlight others. And then there's so much censorship on there. I mean, my content is more often than not is now demonetized on YouTube. And that was the way I was making most of my money. So, you know, I think that things like that, like it's so sad to see a good thing go downhill, but that's often the case when you have single person or company in control. So I love the idea of these alternatives where no one's in control and you don't really see those big switches happening on you.
There was something like the whole decentralization. Was that something which got you into Bitcoin, or did you just get into the whole scene when you discovered Bitcoin?
That's a great question. I came at Bitcoin from the economic side of things. So I was really interested in Austrian economics. And I love the idea of competing currencies, this Hayekian notion that we might have, you know, a choice one day. That fascinated me. So when Bitcoin came along, I was just like, ooh, could this be it? You know, this has the potential to be really powerful. And I saw the potential, you know, especially in countries like Cyprus, for example, a few years after I got involved, they really just proved the use case of Bitcoin, where people in Cyprus woke up one day and a whole bunch of their savings had disappeared. The government had just seized it. And that to me was like, I was already really into the Bitcoin scene by then and already making videos about it. And I was working at the New York Bitcoin Center at the time. But that to me just kind of further enforced like, yeah, we're on the right track here. We're creating a money that can't be controlled. We're creating a system where we can be our own bank account. We can have financial sovereignty. That just really excited me. So from the economic side of things, I got involved, and then crypto really pushed me towards like more tech focused in general. And it's interesting, my channel sort of changed a little bit over the last few years. Before it was purely cryptocurrency. It was all about like, let's show people what's going on in the space and what's exciting. But then I soon realized that at the end of the day, there's so much control that the government can have over just basic internet functionality. so much tracking that goes on. Like if the government wants to stop you doing something, they have everything at their disposal to do it. You know, if they wanted to ban Bitcoin, they couldn't stop it, but they could make it really difficult for you to use it. And so it made me realize how important privacy is. And I just started looking at technologies that really enhance people's capacity to keep some aspects of their life private. So now I split my time between privacy in general and then decentralized tech.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at government these days with all the crisis happening worldwide, I mean, some people will blame the virus, but it's not really the virus. I guess it's the government to blame, which put us into this situation. And the control the government has, I mean, in the end, money is the controlling issue. And that's what I think, you know. In Germany, the majority of German crypto people, I'm not sure if they are Bitcoin maximalists, but Bitcoin Cash, for example, doesn't have a good reputation. I'm a big Bitcoin Cash supporter, or Dash even, because I want to use something that works. I didn't get into crypto just to make money. Basically, I wanted to get out of the old system. That was my main motivation, to have control over my money and use this new internet money where I'm in control. And today with Bitcoin Pizza Day, you know, people maybe have their Bitcoin pizza moment. Maybe you remember spending Bitcoin, and some people say, I shouldn't have spent it, I should have hodled it. And for me, hodling is not really a use case. And that's when we come to government control, right? For me, I don't understand what's the goal. If you only want Bitcoin to go up in euro or dollar value, to do what? To cash out? I mean, you spoke about the fees. I mean, they're around, I don't know, $4 or something for a transaction at the moment. So you can't use it. And what's the whole point then? And it's crazy that the crypto community is so divided these days in these two camps, right? I mean, you noticed, I mean, you're in the middle of it, I guess. I mean, you went all through that, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's interesting. I've always been crypto agnostic because I'm just more interested in, like, I mean, to start off with, I'm very careful with where I put my money. I am very open-minded with different tech and innovation. I love learning about what people are developing, but I am very careful with whether or not I buy into that coin. And there's very few currencies that I have bought into, just because I need to have uttermost confidence in something before I want to part with my money. I will part with my time. I will invest my time and my energy into learning about something, but I'm very careful with where I put the money at the end of the day. And so, like, with the whole, I mean, Bitcoin, do you hodl? Do you save it? Do you spend it? All of that. Like, it's an interesting thing because, again, as you said, I'm kind of in the middle of it because I'm agnostic. I love Bitcoin. I mean, I'm wearing Bitcoin earrings right now, you know? So for me, Bitcoin is a hedge against political instability. It's a hedge if the world goes crazy and fiat just, you know, hyperinflates away, which we could be on a trajectory towards at the moment. Who knows?
Like it
didn't happen in 2008, but this time, I mean, the governments are ramping up what they're doing. It's like doing past policy, but on steroids this time. So we'll have to see what happens. So I think that hedge is really important. And to be honest, I hodl my Bitcoin. I don't spend my Bitcoin. But the other side of things, like the use case for crypto for me, isn't just a hedge against political instability. I want an alternative where, you know, I can pay online. I can buy something on the internet, which is where most of my commerce happens these days. And I don't want my credit card company to track every single thing I do. At the moment, there is no way for me to make payments on the internet without either going through one of these centralized hubs that is collecting all my information, that is using my data, that is monitoring what I'm doing, has the ability to freeze transactions if they don't agree with them, or I can use cryptocurrency. So of course I love cryptocurrency. Now, as you said, I think different currencies have different use cases and geared towards and optimized for different use cases. And I think that Bitcoin is not optimized for everyday transactions. Lightning Network is. I'm still exploring that technology. There are different services like BitRefill that actually incentivize you to use Lightning, where you can pay instantly, because I think speed is super important when you're buying, you know, day-to-day things with cryptocurrencies. So do instant transactions, and they give you a 2% discount on whatever you buy on there. So I love that.
Yeah, but if you open a Lightning Network channel and you have the fee to open it, I mean, I'm very skeptical
you're right.
of the Lightning Network these days. I'm not sure if it can scale. I hope it will.
That's the same. I mean, I'm optimistic, and I'm keeping like an open mind. At the end of the day, for everyday transactions, I use mainly Bitcoin Cash and Dash. Sometimes Litecoin. It just depends what the merchant accepts. But all of those are really helpful. Dash is the quickest for me. And I love that it's just instant and there's no waiting, and that's awesome. But I love what Bitcoin Cash is doing in terms of privacy at the moment. I was really interested in Cash Shuffle, which is just kind of like a coin join feature. You do have that in Bitcoin, but it costs money to use it. In Bitcoin Cash, all you're paying is a transaction fee, which is like, you could keep things just, you know, retumbling and retumbling for a week, and it'd cost you like a penny. So I love what they're doing there, but I love what they're doing with Cash Fusion, which is really exciting.
Right?
Yeah, well, it's the idea that usually with CoinJoin, you know, if a transaction has been through a mixer, has been through CoinJoin, because you end up with all of these uniform outputs. So Cash Fusion makes it so that all of the outputs are completely randomized. So you can't actually distinguish between those and normal transactions, which makes it a lot harder for data, like for chain analytics, etc. So I love that. But
it will be integrated into the Bitcoin.com wallet, which is hugely successful. I think it's going to be a huge boost to Bitcoin Cash. Although, I mean, there are always two sides of the coin. One camp says like the BSV, they seem to me more like the statists, right? Like, oh, you're doing illegal things, and why do you have to be anonymous? And we have to, everything has to be on chain. But I think you have a right to privacy, and nobody needs to know what you do with your money. And the argument that illegal stuff might happen, I don't buy it, you know, because people are gonna do illegal things, whether the law is there or not. I mean, there will always be criminals. I mean, it's just technology. I mean, you have a telephone, right? You have a mobile phone. You could use it to do some illegal stuff. I think we should ban phones. Yeah.
Absolutely agree. But I mean, I wear shoes, and criminals usually wear shoes when they're carrying out crimes. So I think we should start to have more regulations on shoes. It makes it easier for criminals to run away, for getaways, for blending in with normal people. I mean, the whole, it bothers me, that statist attitude. It bothers me sort of the lawsuit culture. It bothers me the patent troll culture. You know, I try to keep an open mind about tech in general. Culture also is very important to me. So I look into that when I'm looking at different projects. And the only other area that like really interests me right now, obviously privacy coins. There are some really interesting privacy coins out there, like Zcash and Zcoin and Monero.
What do you make of McAfee's coin, the new one, Ghost? Have you looked into it?
I don't want to say anything bad about McAfee. He's a friend, and we've hung out a lot. I will look into Ghost. It's unlikely that I'm going to be using it. I think there are more exciting projects out there, but all the best to him with it. And, you know, if he can create something awesome, that's really cool.
I mean, I haven't looked into it really deep, but privacy on Ethereum chain might be very, very interesting when you can exchange it with other ERC20 tokens. So let's wait what happens with that.
For sure. I mean, privacy in any regard, like I try not to dismiss projects that are trying to make the world better through privacy. Maybe some of them are doing a bad job at it, but I try not to dismiss them. I try to keep an open mind. Obviously, I'm going to gravitate towards the ones that do a really great job. For example, that's why I love Zcash. I think that that's like the epitome of privacy coins. People might disagree. People love Monero, you know, but I just think that Zcoin is especially interesting. And I love the Snowden. You can see, like, I've got my...
Yes, I was just pointing at Edward Snowden in the back, because I think you had him on the webcast something in Acapulco, right?
I introduced him once at a conference. Okay. That's like the closest I've been. Now we're best friends, obviously.
But I think
no, he doesn't
Zcash,
realize
right?
that I've got my you know,
I
Snowden
see.
poster on the wall. No, it's ridiculous. He's all over my room. But he looked into Zcash and said that it's an incredible innovation. And so I tend to put a lot of weight on what he says, because his whole life is about privacy. His whole life is about security for journalists. So if he's recommending that people use Wire and Signal as messaging and never use email, I'm going to be listening to that and saying, okay, I'm taking notes. He must know more about this tech than I do. If he's mentioning, you know, certain privacy coins over others, I'm taking note of that too.
Yeah, I mean, when I had an interview with John McAfee, and we were talking about email and privacy as well, and he said, I mean, majority of people use Gmail or some kind of these services, and he says, I mean, it's like an open book. I mean, they're just gonna search everything in your emails, and there's no privacy. I mean,
there's zero privacy. I think that, I mean, email in general is inherently insecure, and if people want privacy, they shouldn't be using email at all. There are safer things that you could use, and Snowden said he doesn't even have an email address. He just uses Signal and Wire. So I think that's really interesting. I think it all depends on your threat model as well. Sometimes convenience dictates that you're going to choose something over another. Like Proton Mail is really interesting. They've changed how they encrypt things now and really amped that up. But at the end of the day, if I'm sending something from Proton Mail to someone with an Gmail account, I mean, everything's saved in the Google servers, so it's all searchable still. It's really difficult to have private communications online, and what is really scary to me is that not only is it already so difficult, but the government is trying to make it even easier to surveil people, and that's terrifying. Like right now in the United States, they have this bill called the Earn It bill. I don't know if you've looked into that.
Yeah, I've heard about it. Yeah.
It's disastrous. They're basically making encryption illegal in a roundabout way, because they know that they can't do it outright. And so they have these ridiculous things that they're doing that will basically stop encryption. Last week, they just renewed the Patriot Act in America. The Patriot Act, which is obviously the abomination of this Orwellian, nightmarish surveillance state we live in now. They not only renewed it, but then they actually increased the powers of the FBI surveillance. They actually gave the FBI the ability to like basically dragnet download people's entire search history. So this kind of stuff really scares me, that we're just going down this path, which is why I think it's more important than ever that we support the people out there who, you know, are building this decentralized future, who are building better privacy tools, that we use their products, that we, you know, promote their products, because at the end of the day, we want everyone to be taking care of their privacy, not just people who feel they have something to hide. Because if there's just like, you know, if there are 5 people in the world who are using privacy products because they're, you know, human rights workers, or they're lawyers representing certain clients, they're whistleblowers, they're journalists who are looking into government corruption, all of this stuff, you know, if they're just a few people who are who are hiding, it's really easy to find them. Whereas if everyone's protecting themselves, it's a lot easier for these people to actually protect themselves and hide amongst them. So I think we owe it to the people out there who are the whistleblowers, who are the brave ones, to be using this stuff as well, because it all helps them. Yeah,
but to be honest, I mean, does the average person really care that Snowden is in exile? Does really anyone care that Assange is in prison without any trial, whatever? I mean, maybe there's some media outcry, maybe there's some people going on the streets for that, but the average person, I don't have the feeling that they care enough. I mean, with the whole, I'd call it a pandemic hoax, right? I know how you want to call it, but people are going on the streets in Germany, they're going on the streets in the US and other countries, and yeah, they're revolting against these lockdown measures. But is that enough, really? I mean, it looks really like we are straight heading into this China reality with face recognition cameras everywhere, where everyone is paying with their mobile phone. And if you say something on a chat or online, anything which is against the mainstream opinion or against the political party or whatever, they're just going to cut you off from paying with your phone or cut you off from flying. And for me, it looks like China is the test. Like in a communist country, it's easier to get these things done. You know, people don't have that much freedom. And it looks like our world with the virus is use it as an excuse with all these things you just said, with new acts, Patriot Act and the Earn Act, or whatever thing it was, taking away more freedom and putting us in this direction. And to me, it seems like, it's not that bad. I don't have anything to hide. That's the general feeling I get from the majority of people. I'm not sure if we are enough and if we're moving fast enough to stop this whole thing.
Well, the good thing is that a lot of the power is in the hands of really smart technologists. And honestly, it doesn't matter whether the population consents or not to enhancing their privacy. A lot of companies do it on their behalf, the people who do understand that what's at stake. Like you saw before the Snowden revelations, a tiny fraction of internet traffic was encrypted. After the Snowden revelations, I mean, some of the data that was given away, like through Prism, etc., was in cooperation with these companies like Google and Apple, but some of it actually wasn't known to them. Some of it was being collected without their knowledge. And so what you saw was these companies start to make the default encryption. And that was really exciting. That helped everyone because they understood what was at stake. And as you said, you know, it's true, the government never lets a good crisis go to waste, right? And so when you have these, you know, emergency stopgap measures where, you know, we need to pass this bill really quickly to save everyone and protect people from whatever it is, and then, you know, a decade, 2 decades later, we still have these measures in place. The emergency never ends for these things. So we need to be really careful with which policies we allow to be passed right now. You know, we're not just setting up our next year to get through whatever crisis is, you know, we're being told is going on. We're being set up for the next few decades. And this is the future that we're creating right now with the decisions we make now. And at the end of the day, I don't have much hope. I think that the outcome of all of this coronavirus scare is going to be a lot more government surveillance, a lot less freedom for the individual. We now have governments dictating which businesses are essential and which ones are not. You know, what we can and can't spend our money on, the amount of money we are and are not allowed to pay for certain goods, as if it's not our choice. Like if we wanted to pay more for something, we should be able to. So there's so many controls that have now become normalized. And that's the scary part to me, is that you're right, people don't care.
It's the new normal, right?
Yeah, everything becomes normalized, and we're just going further in this direction. So I think our only hope is getting familiar with the technologies that provide at the individual level more freedom. You know, finding redundancy in our internet, for example, so that if our service provider shuts us off, we still have access to certain things. That's why I love things like Blockstream is doing with their satellite. You know, it's a tiny little thing. A lot of people say, well, it's not much, but they're doing what they can to try to provide redundancy with the internet. And I respect that a lot. You know, different things with securing our contact with each other. Don't just when you have something, you know, important to say, don't use Signal then. Just use it for all of your messages. You know, use it instead of email if you can. Just start to normalize privacy in your life, because at the end of the day, the government is only heading in one direction, and that is to create more surveillance for the individual and take away more freedom. And we're never going to reverse that trend. That's just not what happens. You know, it would take a revolution. It would take something huge for that to happen. So individual just needs to start looking out for themselves and protecting themselves with better choices.
For me, I mean, when you see the pictures, Venice Beach, like the bulldozers putting sand into the, I mean, it's like there's so much crazy things going on. And for me, if you look at all the statistics, people dying and who dies, and I don't know, I mean, I don't want to get into the whole topic, but for me, it looks like a planned economic crash to usher in the new digital age of the, you know, maybe digital money, where you have more control over people. And I mean, if you look at our financial system, I mean, the last crisis, 2008, wasn't that big. If you look at it from today's perspective, I mean, in America alone, there are more than 13 million people unemployed, and being unemployed in America is a disaster. You're not insured anymore. In Germany, we have 10 million people. They're not unemployed, but it's called, how you call it, Kurzarbeit. So the government is Kurzarbeit. The government,
they're getting a little bit of work.
They're basically at home, but they get like 67% of their income. And
it's like unemployment benefits.
Yeah, but they are not unemployed yet, right? But they have to have the safety net. So here, for many people, it still feels like, yeah, it's not that bad. It was a prolonged holiday, and it might get back to normal. Who knows? And but in America, it looks different. And if you look at all the statistics, what's happening, this is for me the chance really for crypto to shine. But the question is, are we ready? I mean, we're relying on centralized services everywhere, like even on YouTube, right? I mean, you've been switching now from YouTube to more decentralized things, and that's something I wanted to talk about as well, because I mean, YouTube is where you reach a wide audience, right? How do we get people to get more interested in the decentralized ways? Is it just because you earn money watching the content? And how do you get people using the decentralized? What's their benefit?
That's a great question. And to be honest, when I try to test out all these platforms, as I said, I want to support the people who are building this decentralized future. I want to use their products. I want to show them, give them the signaling device that yes, there are people who want this, keep working on it, you know, because they're the ones who are creating the tools that are benefiting us, like creating the alternatives so that other platforms don't have so much leverage over us. So at the end of the day, I mean, when I first get involved with a platform, if it's really easy, then I'll just go on it. Like things like BitChute, for example, they were the first site to mirror YouTube. So I just signed up and now all my content was just mirrored. So there's another community that I'm automatically growing and it's zero work on my behalf. Then LBRY started doing the same thing and I could just sync all of my videos. So then I just left it. I was like, okay, all my videos are being posted there for a later date. And if everything crashes and YouTube deplatforms me, I'll at least have my content. And then last month, an interesting thing happened. For the first time ever, one of my videos on LBRY got more views than the same video on YouTube. Nice. And I thought, what? Like, is something, because I just ignored LBRY. Honestly, I just kind of put my stuff there and I was interested in supporting it. And so, you know, I made sure that I understood what was going on, but I just didn't pay as much attention as I could have. And then I started looking into LBRY. I realized that I'd earned $300 on that video, whereas the same video on YouTube had been demonetized. And I thought, okay. And then I realized, like, this month, I now have 15,000 subscribers on LBRY, and I only have like 35,000 subscribers on YouTube. So we're starting to get to a situation where it's not the case, where I need to post on YouTube in order to get to an audience. I have a huge audience at my disposal in an entirely different community. And so I think that it's a mix of not only just people like making it easy and like, honestly, there's no downside to people signing up for LBRY and just auto syncing all their content. There's zero downside. You're going to put all your content then there, you don't even have to do any work. But the upside is that we now have a thriving community there of people who are really disgruntled at what's happening on YouTube, and they're on LBRY, they're giving tips, you're earning things from LBRY just by watching content, etc. So the monetization is a huge incentive for me now. And more importantly, just knowing that if I lose my YouTube channel, I still have a strong community of 15,000 people that I haven't lost. That's huge for me.
That's really huge. I mean, were you affected by the whole YouTube, I call it purge? I mean, I got a strike, all the other YouTubers, many YouTubers got a strike, some channels and videos were taken down. For me, that was really a wake-up call. I mean, I've been using Steemit and now it's Hive and some other decentralized things, but getting a strike from YouTube and realizing, damn, they can just shut me down, like, and then I'm gone, right? That's crazy.
Yeah, it didn't affect me personally, but it did affect me a huge deal, just seeing what they're capable of. Because as you said, almost all of YouTube, crypto YouTube was affected by this, and it was a wake-up call for me as well. It makes me so worried because I put so much effort into my channel. You know, it's my entire life. All I do is try to create content that I think will help people and try to bring people, like viewers, to the channel so that they can get educated about things.
It's a great channel, guys. So if you watch, go to Naomi's channel, watch it. I mean, you got way too less subscribers. I mean, there needs to be more people subscribing to your channel. I mean, you do great video. Funny as well. I mean, you did some Bitcoin songs and I mean some all kinds of crazy stuff, right?
Well, I appreciate your kind words, and yeah, I think that if there was a while where honestly it creates this chilling effect, right? Because YouTube gets to dictate what you can and can't do on the platform, and even if you're abiding by the rules, they could arbitrate, you know, because of whatever reason you've created harmful content. You're like, well, what's the definition of harmful? And so it's very vague, you know, whether you're abiding by the rules or not. And that encourages you to otherwise would, because they're being extra careful. They really don't want to be deplatformed. So YouTube is able to control the information that gets out, control the narrative of a lot of subjects. Like, for example, they're removing videos, content about COVID. There's all kinds of things going on where they're now getting to control the narrative, because people know that there are now viable alternatives. Like, LBRY by no means is as, slick as YouTube. They don't have the budget YouTube does, but honestly, it's a completely viable alternative for me. It gives me everything that I need from a platform. Plus, I earn more money there than I do on YouTube. So I think we're really starting to see more of that. We're seeing content creators wake up to that. Before the YouTube purge, you had the Patreon purge, you had people there losing all of their monetization. They went to Subscribestar, then suddenly Stripe pulled services from the entire Subscribestar platform. So payment was able to hold, and now we're starting to see all of that break apart because we have alternatives. That's the exciting thing about all of this tech, is that we can't be controlled the same way that we used to, and I'm really excited to see what the next decade holds, because I think it's going to look very different from the last one.
Let's hope so. I mean, being in control of your content, I mean, it's huge. I mean, especially for content creators, and you're not allowed to talk freely. I mean, in Germany, there are just things, even on YouTube. I mean, you can't say certain things. You're gonna get shadow banned, delisted on Facebook. I don't think we have freedom of speech. I mean, we do have more or less. We can say what we want for the general public, but certain things you shouldn't say. And if you say them, maybe you get delisted or deplatformed. Who knows where this is going to lead in a couple of years if we wouldn't have these alternatives. And that's why I'm so glad for cryptocurrency, which gives us the ability to survive in a world where the state issued currency fails. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, I'm sure it will fail eventually. Maybe it just gets replaced by something else, but people will take a huge haircut, and it's going to be a disaster. I mean, if you look at the economic situation all around the world, it doesn't look too good, although stocks and everything is rallying because everyone is printing. Yeah, you got in your Twitter handle, you got the brr, yeah, right? Naomi
Naomi Brockwell, because the money printers are going crazy. It's crazy. I mean, like, people don't realize that the government is not creating wealth. The government is currently redistributing what there is, and the majority of it is going into corporate bailouts. So the individual thinks, well, I'm getting $1,000 in the mail. This is great. Thank you, government. And meanwhile, you're getting trillions of dollars being injected into companies that should not be bailed out. And I just think it requires a certain amount of economic literacy to understand how much your money is being devalued right now, because the money is being injected straight into the stock market, because it's being injected straight into giant corporations. And a lot of people don't realize how inflation works and how it devalues savings. And so they just
learn about it in school.
Yeah, they certainly don't, and so they just think that it's free money, and we're all losing in this current situation. I'm into Bitcoin not because I think I'm going to get rich. I don't. I think that that I'm going to try to become less poor. I just want all of my money to not disappear. I think it's a fathomable situation, like in Argentina, like in Venezuela, like in a lot of countries that have had to deal with inflation and hyperinflation. Like, I know it's a sure thing that I'm losing at least 2% of my savings a year. That's 2% is huge. 2% is a huge amount of money if you calculate how much savings you have and what 2% is. So I'm already losing that by having my money in fiat. But I don't trust, the CPI, the Consumer Pricing Index. I don't trust that they're hitting like just 2%. I think that there's a huge amount of inflation that just goes undetected. I think that it's all going into, as you said, like it's going into stock prices, it's going into the housing market. It's just there's certain industries that are more augmented than others. So it's difficult to kind of ascertain how much our savings are being inflated away. But, at the end of the day, like, I don't want to bank on a system where I know for sure I'm losing all of my money. I would rather take my bets with a system where it could go up or down. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have a system that isn't controlled by a certain set of unelected bureaucrats who are making decisions that affect everyone all over the globe, like hugely important decisions that no one gets a say in. That's really scary to me.
Yeah, in Germany we have there was this one politician. He said something like, "The politicians who were elected can't decide anything, and the people who decide weren't elected." Right? Like in Germany, the European Union, they passed some laws, and I don't know who those people are in Brussels making decisions,
Yeah.
but it's affecting all of us, all in all of Europe, and it doesn't look too good for the future in Europe with all what's happening. And maybe the Bitcoin citadel will become reality.
Oh, that would be great. I would move there. That would be awesome.
I mean, there's some projects. I mean, free private cities where they bought land from somewhere in Honduras or some other places where they try to establish like this independent economic area. It might be something which is going to develop in the next, I don't know, 10 years.
I mean, anything that's like a physical jurisdiction like that, so like I've been following the Free Cities projects for a long time, and for like the seasteading projects and all of that. And I am hopelessly optimistic. I would love that to happen. If they succeed, like Liberland, all of that stuff, if they succeed, you know, I'm the first person there. I have not been there. I've emceed a conference there, but remotely. But I love Vityatlitschka. I think that he's like he's
a great guy, right?
Yeah. But I think that all of these projects, they rely on permission from a government who would have to cede power in order to allow them to exist. And I just don't see that happening. I see our biggest chance being carving out freedom, or like a jurisdiction on in the ether, on the internet. I think that technology is going to give us the most freedom. I think that borders are going to become more and more arbitrary, especially right now where everyone is basically living their lives on the internet. You know, there's really no difference to me talking with you than talking with my next door neighbor, because both of them I'm going to be talking through an internet platform right now. And so I think that we're going to start to see location diminishing already. I mean, you're starting to see the demise of Silicon Valley. Look at all the companies that have announced in the last couple of weeks that they're going permanently remote. That's really interesting. Like Coinbase is going remote. I mean, there's so many places that have. I think Twitter said that they're permanently, that people have the choice to work from home. There are major companies who are now doing this, and so I think that first of all, you're going to start to see that California doesn't have the stranglehold that it thinks it does. People are going to vote with their feet. You know, Elon Musk has already threatened to leave and take Tesla out. Yeah. So if they keep having bad policies that hurt companies and don't allow them the freedom to build what they want to build, people are going to leave, because Silicon Valley is not as important as it used to be as we're living more of our lives digitally. I think that as we live more of our lives digitally, it's more important than ever that we have robust digital platforms and robust security on those platforms. So privacy has become increasingly important. And really, we can't rely on governments to protect that privacy. They're going to try to diminish that privacy. And so we have to be supporting the technologists that are building the tools that give us back that freedom and give us back security in our online interaction, because most of our interaction is online these days.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, I see it very clear that sooner or later the borders have to be irrelevant, because we live online, we earn our money online. I mean, hopefully we do. The majority of people don't yet, but that's going to change, as you said. I mean, cities are going to change. I mean, we've got self-driving cars coming up. We don't need our cars. We don't need a garage. I mean, why would we own a car in the future if we can just like Uber a car? And I mean, the car is basically, a car sits around in your parking space for 22 hours a day, and you drive to work and come back maybe, and that's it. And there's so much change happening in the next maybe 10, 20 years, which is, I mean, the world is going to be completely different. And I hope it's not going to be this technocratic, totalitarian surveillance state that's I mean, basically forming just right in front of us.
I mean, I would rather, like, at the end of the day, with technology companies, we have a choice, right? We have a choice which products we use, and we force ourselves into this situation where it's like, well, I don't have a choice. I have to be on YouTube. It's like, well, you don't. You don't have to be on YouTube. You know, you get a choice with where you spend your money. So I'm terrified of this totalitarian situation where the government enforces where we can and can't spend our money, and I'm giving all my support to the technologists who are building alternatives, and, you know, especially the decentralized alternatives. I think they're particularly exciting. But honestly, tech is the only way that we could really save ourselves at this stage. And so it's more important than ever to be voting with our choices and to be using the companies that we think are doing the right thing, as opposed to, you know, hurting us or taking away privacy, for example.
But for that to happen, we really need to educate people to wake them up. I mean, majority of people, they are asleep. They don't know anything about money. And if you want to change the world tomorrow, just tell everyone, get your money out of the bank, put it in crypto, and the revolution is over. I mean, that's it. I mean, there's no control anymore for government. I mean, right. It couldn't work that way. I mean, it wouldn't work. I mean, cryptos, I don't think they could cope. I mean, Bitcoin is at its capacity. I mean, it's, you see with the fees, and sure, we got these other blockchains like Dash, or you could use Ethereum or Digibyte or whatever. But if there would be 100 million people coming into crypto next week, I don't think we are ready for that scenario. And we need to move faster to get more people on board. And what do you think? Like, I always tell people, in order for crypto to be successful, we need to get more women involved. I mean, if I look at my YouTube audience, it's like 3% women who are watching my videos, right? So there's huge gap. So how do you get women involved in crypto? What needs to happen for women to use and spend crypto? Get shoes for a discount?
That's a great question. It's a great question. I mean, at the end of the day, like, there's huge disparity across all interests in the world. You know, I come from a performance background. I have a degree in acting. You can bet that most of the people in my class were women. I went from a world where it was almost entirely women with a few men. Like, I have a musical theater background, so there were very few men who were involved in that. And so I went from an environment that was mainly women to now I'm in an environment that's mainly men. I think people have to recognize that people have completely different interests, and we can't be trying to force our value system on someone and say, well, you should find this important. You know, you should read, you know, Human Action. You should read Rothbard's What Has the Government Done to Our Money and Hayek's Road to Serfdom. And you should feel empowered, and you should love this and be encouraged to read more about it. And people just aren't interested. And so I think that what we need to realize is that cryptocurrency does have all kinds of benefits. We may think that there are certain benefits that are more important than others, but at the end of the day, it's not our choice. It's up to the individual to decide what their value system is, what they prioritize. And if we want to reach out to those people, we have to figure out what they prioritize and sell it to them on those terms, not on our own terms. I mean, if I'm going around to everyone saying, well, you will understand the value of this money as soon as you read these Austrian economics, you know, textbooks, I mean, it's like what Anne-Marie Sechet, Bitcoin ABC said, you've already created a cost for these people. Yeah. You know, it's a net negative for them getting involved because you've created such a barrier and so much work before they will actually see the benefit that it's not worth it to them. So
that's why I asked the question, you know, like in America, in Australia, in Europe, we have a functioning system. We got those debit cards and credit cards and everything is working fine. And using crypto to pay, getting involved in crypto, there are so many steps, so many learnings. There's no real benefit for the average user to use crypto instead of fiat. I mean, sure, if you have Purse.io, which doesn't work in Germany, I think stuff like that could get people to use it, but there's this huge gap, knowledge gap as well, and technological gap. For me, I don't see the revolution happening in the Western society, rather in the countries where they need this, like in South America and Asia and Africa. But I wish, I mean, it would be easy for people to grasp this. But in Germany, you know, you go to a shop and, of course, I talk about Bitcoin when I buy pizza or buy whatever, some food, and they say, yeah, I've heard about it. And then I ask them if they want to accept it. And they say, the tax implications, it's so complicated, it's another step. I have to talk to my tax guy. And it's like this whole regulation thing is just, they say, can't be bothered, you know?
I think that I disagree to some extent. When you say like this revolution is never going to happen, like the revolution is happening right now. It's already in the works, right? Because I don't think, I mean, you have to look at cryptocurrency and say, well, what does cryptocurrency do better? Right? What does it do better? Because we can't just try to shoehorn it into something and force people to use a system that's inferior to something else. So the things that it does better is gray markets. You know, jurisdictions like black markets in America, for example, consist of drugs and whatever. Black markets in China consist of food and clothing and medicine, you know. So black market activity is huge for cryptocurrency, and we're already seeing huge success all over the world. Bitcoin is already giving people back more freedom. Cryptocurrency in general is giving back people more freedom, and it is being used. So people should already be happy that we have an alternative. At the end of the day, we're not going to convince everyone to get involved. But as you said, there are certain things like, for example, if they can save a bunch of money using something like Purse.io, in Germany, it might not work, but in America, if people realize they could be saving maybe like 40% on their purchases.
Crazy, right?
It's incredible. A lot of people just don't realize this. So I think that it will incentivize people to get involved. Also, like merchants might be incentivized to get involved if they realize that they could be saving money on credit card fees. So there are certain things there. If they're getting save money on chargeback fraud, for example. I have some friends, like in terms of just using cryptocurrency as everyday purchases. So in the last couple of months, a couple of people have mentioned to me how they've purchased something and then there's been a hold on their account, and then they had a time sensitivity of how quickly they needed their product, but then it took several days and then the money got refunded, that they never got the product. And it was just like this crazy situation. And if they'd paid with cryptocurrency, the payment would have just gone through and it would have been shipped. So
not Bitcoin, BCC, but
not Bitcoin. But I think that there are certain things that Bitcoin already does better, and there are people already recognizing that it does better. In terms of getting women involved, I mean, it comes down to an individual level. Just reach out to people at a level that of things that affect them. I did like a crypto walking tour at the start of the year, and I was able to get all of these new people who've never used cryptocurrency to come on this tour, where we went around Fremantle in Australia and we looked at all of these shops that accepted cryptocurrency. The only reason people came along is because I told them I'd give them free cryptocurrency to spend on the day. And so it was actually sponsored by Bitcoin.com. They gave me a bunch of Bitcoin Cash. I taught everyone how to download a wallet. I taught them how to download a Lightning wallet as well. You know, just showed them what all the options were out there. But then I gave them each $10 Bitcoin Cash, and they could spend it anywhere on the tour. And we went to like a dozen different places consisting of bars. We went on a boat trip. We went to like a drone store, all of these places, and people learned how to use it. There are now all these people, 50 people in Perth who use cryptocurrency who didn't previously. So
I mean, in Townsville, they had this Bitcoin Cash conference. I mean, there are hundreds of merchants, right? I mean,
no, it's awesome. And at the end of the day, Bitcoin was popularized because people reached out at a peer-to-peer level. It was popularized because people took someone by the hand, explained to them what it was, said, hey, I will give you an extra tip in cryptocurrency if you download a wallet. And it was by actually reaching out on their personal level that it became popularized. I don't think anything's changed. I think that's still how we get people involved in this, because it is difficult to understand. There is still friction there. Governments make it harder than ever to try and navigate this stuff. And so there are a lot of hurdles we have to overcome. So as long as people are still inspired by this and are still going out and taking the time to reach out to new people, this is going to continue to grow. And I think we're going to start to see more and more use cases. Like before, I mentioned all the black market activity. It's not just illegal things that are a good use case for cryptocurrency. For example, the Patreon purge that I mentioned, where everyone was kicked off. They were demonetized. Like someone like Naomi Wu, who is a tech person who lives in Shenzhen in China, she was demonetized. That's how she earned her entire living. And so at the time, I had a site called Bitbacker, which was a crypto Patreon. It was coin agnostic. I
was on there as well, but
well, we sold that and then it kind of disappeared, unfortunately. So now I have a different site called Cointree, which I'll talk to you about in a second. But we got her onto Bitbacker, and she started getting monthly donations in different cryptocurrencies. And she tweeted out, I'm finally able to start paying for my groceries again. So it's the payment processors who stifle freedom of speech as well and demonetize content creators so they can't keep spreading their message. And it's cryptocurrency that enables them to keep spreading that message when payment processors clamp down or, you know, different platforms clamp down. So there are lots of different use cases we're seeing. And as society gets more censored and we, you know, more controlled, I think we're going to start to see even more use cases.
I think with what you mentioned earlier, there was something I was just discussing with a friend of mine a couple of days ago, like offering crypto tours in a touristy city where you basically have restaurants and like a tour. You walk through people through a city, talk about what happens here and there, and like some of the history, and then you go drink at this restaurant or this bar because they accept crypto, and everyone, they pay like, let's say 50 euro for the tour, and they get 25 back in crypto so they can spend it on the venues where you get those people. And especially for international travel, if you go to different countries, it's a pain to change money, right? If you go to different countries and they rip you off at the airport and other exchange things, you know, it's just crazy. I think in a world where crypto is everywhere, it's easy. You just open up your phone, get into your wallet, pay the driver, pay the restaurant, give a tip in whatever cryptocurrency. And maybe crypto doesn't need to go mainstream as we think it might will or has to go. Maybe it's just going to stay in this little niche where still millions of people are going to use it, and that's enough. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, I'm just thankful for it. Right now, I'm thankful that there's an alternative. And on Bitcoin Pizza Day, I am also incredibly grateful.
What kind of pizza do you eat?
What kind of pizza do I eat? I'm vegan, so I eat vegan pizza. You're like, oh, I used to like you, Naomi.
No, I mean, it's a choice. I have a friend who's vegan, and it's hard. I tried it for I think 2 weeks, and
I really gave it such a big go.
Yeah, after 2 weeks, I was done. You know?
I love it. I
like Australian kangaroo. I mean, kangaroo is great. Tastes good.
Oh my goodness. So what will we say just before that? Pizza Day. Oh yeah. I'm grateful for Laszlo Hanyecz for taking the plunge and making the first first exchange of Bitcoin for real world goods, because that's when Bitcoin was really born, right? Before it was this idea that it could possibly be money, but I think it comes down to what are we using this money for? Is it just this idea and we think that it has value? And he exchanged it for real goods and showed people that yes, this does have a tangible value. You can exchange it for other tangible value. And then that kind of set Bitcoin on its way. So thank you, Laszlo. Thank you, Bitcoin Pizza Day. Thank you, Satoshi Nakamoto. I'm very grateful that this thing exists. And now
you mean Craig, right?
Sure.
Do you follow the drama with Craig? I mean, you've been talking about it in the last 2 days with all the court cases and stuff. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, I used to follow it more because it was entertaining, but now it's just kind of exhausting.
And it will come to an end, I think, this year once the goes to jury trial, and let's see what happens, right?
Right.
But you see, like the speculation a couple of days ago, someone moved 50 BTC from the Satoshi era. You know, it's like everyone's going crazy. Bitcoin is dropping. It's like the market is still very, very early. It's still in its infancy. If you see like a little bit of news and unimportant points basically move, and people are going crazy about this, you know.
We are endlessly entertained in this space. I wish that we had a culture that was a little bit more upbeat. I see just so much negativity, people just hating tech rather than wanting to support the people who are building this tech. Like, you know, we need to be giving all these people all of our support, not hating on these projects. And I think it's right to like be wary of different coins, call out scammers and all that, but keep an open mind that maybe you can dismiss a coin, but maybe they are doing something interesting in the tech that can be used or transferred to another project. So I think, just I wish the space were a little less toxic, but it is what it is, and I'm glad it exists nevertheless. At least, right? It's entertaining. It's entertaining.
But it changed for me. I got into crypto in 2016, so I mean, for some it's early, for some it's late, depends when you got into it. But in 2016, it was more like a community, like it's us against the rest. And after the whole Bitcoin fork and everything, it's like everyone is fighting with each other. Like if you look at the BSV guys, I mean, I hope they are successful with their thing. I mean, I wish them luck. I hope every coin goes achieves whatever they want, and it doesn't. But if you look at those guys, like they try to put other coins down, other people down. It's like, why do you care? Just do your thing, and if you're successful, people will come and use it. Where's the need them being so aggressive and, you know, fighting all the time? It's just it changed in the last couple of years, unfortunately. But let's talk about the Cointree. I've seen your Cointree thing. What is that? I mean, I clicked on it and I saw a huge list of all your social media profiles and sites and whatever it is.
So I created Cointree for two reasons. The first reason was that I have hundreds and hundreds of videos on dozens of platforms, and I make my money from community support. So on every video, I was posting cryptocurrency addresses. Maybe I'd have like 5 different currencies listed. Here's my Ether address. Here's my Bitcoin address. And the thing is that addresses go stale. Either you lose access to them or you swap them out for security reasons. On dozens of platforms and change out your Bitcoin addresses on all of them. It was just ridiculous. And so now I just post one link, which is my Cointree link, and people go there and they know all of my addresses, multiple different currencies are all active. And if they wanted to support me, then years I'd post my crypto addresses on videos and I'd receive 0 money. And then suddenly, you know, I tried out this method of allowing people to send they don't just want to send an anonymous transaction most of the time. They want to say, hey, you know, good job. I really appreciate the work that you do. You know, Dennis, this was a great show. Here is $5 or whatever. And so this is a feature I ported over to Cointree where people can send you a note and they can write on your message wall and say, Naomi, you know, great, liked them or whatever. And then on the other side of things, we just have people being deplatformed all of the time. And so it's hard to keep track of where to find people. And as many as I can to test them out and let people know what I find out. So now I have a list where people can go and find me on all of these platforms. People may not want to send a tip. They may not have the means to send a tip, but they may still want to support me by watching the content on different platforms, or perhaps got anything to support me. You know, just by watching it, I get sent a library token or something. So so I have all of those listed now, and it's mainly a tool for content creators to help them earn money. It's for people who earn their money through community support, and it's just to make it as easy as possible. So it's like, it's not a new technology. It's literally just a list of your addresses. We don't hold we don't because I want to make sure that, first of all, these platforms are being supported and that content creators are being supported.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, there's lots of room for us to grow and lots of new opportunities coming into the crypto world every time. As long as we're getting more and more decentralized, giving back the people more power, I think we're on the right path to getting more people into this whole microcosmos of cryptocurrency. Because, I mean, people are slowly starting to wake up to the reality with the lockdown and with the consequences and with government taking control or maybe making decisions which aren't in the best interest of the people. And I hope that we can educate more people, wake more people up, and everyone who's watching this needs to follow you. I'm going to put your Cointree link down below in the description.
Are you going to put your Cointree link down below in the description?
I have to sign up for Cointree as well. Yes, I will.
And people don't have to sign up to send you a donation as well. They can use this site without having any accounts at all. Okay,
sounds good. All right, Naomi, we have been talking for over an hour already. I don't want to take too much time, but I see a guitar back there. You play the guitar?
I do play the guitar. I have a music channel that no one watches.
Ah.
I did a degree in classical music before I focused on technology and crypto and journalism. So yeah, now I tend to channel my music just into cheesy Bitcoin songs where I really write the lyrics and whatnot. So
yeah, we need more Bitcoin songs. I mean, there are quite a few funny Bitcoin videos and Bitcoin songs or crypto songs out there, but we need some more. So I'm looking forward to your next song whenever it comes out.
Absolutely.
So what's your plan for the rest of the year? I mean, how does your schedule look like? What's happening in your world this year?
Ooh, well, all of the conferences that I MC, I generally MC at least a few conferences a month. So they've all been cancelled for the next few months. So I'm staying home, I'm playing more music, and I'm making more videos. So I guess you can just, if you tune into my channel, you'll be seeing a bunch of content, a bunch of tutorials, a lot of privacy focused stuff to help people kind of navigate.
All right, sounds good. I'm definitely going to be watching your channel. I mean, I enjoy watching your videos, but I'm not going to watch on YouTube. I'm going to watch on LBRY because I get paid to watch.
Yeah, yeah, do that.
All right, Naomi, it was a pleasure talking to you. I mean, there are so many more topics we could talk about, but it's already after midnight here in Germany, and I know you have lots of things to do. It's Friday, and the weekend is calling your name, right? Naomi,
absolutely. Naomi, come
pizza.
join us, Naomi. There's pizza for you and wine.
Do you like pineapple pizza?
Are you gonna hate me if I say yes? Because I love pineapple pizza.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's all right. That's all right. I mean,
it's a very controversial topic. It's almost more controversial than which Bitcoin do you like, which cryptocurrency do you like more?
Yeah, I was talking to Vinamani about crypto being a religion, like Bitcoin already having religious, how you call it? I don't know.
Overtones?
Yeah, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe in 50 years or 500 years, people are going to look back at our videos and say, see, these are the crypto messiahs.
This is the gospel according to Satoshi.
Yes.
The original apostle, Hal Finney. No, it's...
so who do you think Satoshi is? Let's close with that. What's your best guess on Satoshi?
You just opened up a whole barrel of worms right there. Like,
I know.
Let's end on something easy. Who do you think
exactly.
Satoshi?
The easiest question, Krypto. Who do you think Satoshi is?
I think that Satoshi took a lot of care to keep their identity private. And I think that was the greatest gift that they gave to us, because we are no longer focused on the person. We aren't attacking the person, the ideas and the technology itself. And so taking the person and making it distinct from the ideas was the greatest gift that they could to us. I don't know who Satoshi is. I'm sure there are some people who do know who Satoshi is. At the end of the day, I thank them. I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for the white paper. I'm grateful for all of the current devs that we do know who they are, or sometimes don't know who they are, who are continuing to build on this.
Well said. I mean, do we really need to know? I don't think we do. And it's the technology is here. More technology is being developed on grounds what Satoshi developed. I mean, did Satoshi really develop it or discover it? Who knows? Maybe it's been there all around for hundreds of years and he just discovered how to use it. But anyways, Naomi, thank you very much. And we're going to stop the recording, and you have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll talk again soon and someday meet at some non-virus conference.
And the next video we'll do in German.
Of course,
I have to practice.
So you can say goodbye in German, okay?
Tschüss.